So this is the chapter 8, separation of substances. So here we are learning what is a mixture and how do you separate two mixtures. First of all, the question is what is a mixture? So mixture is something which is made up of two or more substances. Suppose consider air. Air is made up of different kinds of gases, carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen. So air is a mixture because it is made up of two or more substances. Consider lemon juice. It is made up of lemon, water, sugar, and many substances. So it is also a mixture. So mixture is basically something which is made up of two or more substances. That is called as a mixture. So now the question is, since we know what is a mixture, now we have to name the components of the following mixture. Components of the following mixture means what are the substances. We said that mixture is made up of two or more substances. So components means what are the substances or what are the kinds of substances present in the following mixture. The first one is seawater. We obviously know that seawater is salty. So we can say that components of seawater are salt and water. Vinegar. Vinegar is made up of acetic acid and water. Smoke. Smoke is made up of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. Air. Air is a mixture of different gases like carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen. Next is Nimbu Pani. Nimbu Pani or lemon juice. It is made up of water, lemon, sugar, ilachi, salt, almost all these things. Mist. Mist is made up of water and air. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is made up of water and carbon dioxide. Why? Because if you shake the Coca-Cola bottle and just open it, you will get a fizz, right? That is called as a carbon dioxide. So it is made up of water and carbon dioxide. Milk. Milk is made up of water, fat content, lactose. So milk is also a mixture. Fruit cream. Fruit cream is obviously made up of fruit, cream, nuts. So this is also a mixture. So we learned what is a mixture, that is it is made up of two or more substances. Next we learned how to name the components of the following mixtures. So the next question comes. We learned what is mixture, we learned components of the mixture, but why do we need to separate different components of a mixture? What is the requirement to separate different components of a mixture? It is not always necessary that mixtures are always useful and mixtures are always good. There are some cases where kesari dal is mixed with arhar dal. But kesari dal, if we consume it, it causes paralysis to us. So it is not required, right? If kesari dal is mixed with arhar dal, it makes a mixture. But we do not need kesari dal. So that is why we need to separate this component of the mixture. The next is water from the abandoned well. So abandoned well means the well which is not touched for many years. From the abandoned well, the water might have harmful substances or poisonous substances. So you can't just drink poisonous water or harmful water to you. You need to remove those poisonous substances. So that is why there is a need to separate different components of a mixture. It is not always that mixtures are always useful to us. There might be some cases where you do not need mixtures, like as in kesari dal and in the water which is mixed with harmful substances. So we need to separate the components of a mixture. So this is about what is a mixture, what are the components of a mixture, and why do we need to separate the components of a mixture. So the next one is, what are the methods to separate components of a mixture? We learned why do we need to separate the components of a mixture. Now we are going to see, but what methods or how are you separating the components of a mixture? First one is hand picking. This is the basic techniques. Suppose you have a rice and some pebbles or dirt is mixed with it or stones are mixed with it. One obvious thing you will separate it is by hand picking. You take the stones and you throw it away, or you take the dirt or pebbles and throw it away, because you can easily see it. Rice is white in color, stones might be brown or black in color. So easily you can see them. Usually you can identify them by their size, by their color. So this is called as hand picking. So it is based on the thing that you can identify them easily by seeing their size and color. The next one is the question. How do you remove impurities from a sample of pulses or rice before cooking? As I said, if you have a sample of pulses or rice and if you have stones in it, obviously you will remove it by hand picking, because you can easily see that. Because it is differentiating in size and color, you can easily see it and you can hand pick it and throw it away. So the next one. Next process is called as threshing. So as you can see in the picture, that process is called as threshing. So what is threshing? The process which is used to separate grains from the stalk is called as threshing. So suppose they have grown some crop in the field, they'll cut it along with the stem. But they do not want the stalk, they just want the grains. So they separate the grains from the stalk. This process is called as threshing. So the next process is winnowing. So what is winnowing? Now they have separated the grains from the stalk. Now we need only the grains. We do not need the outer covering of the grains, which is called as husk. So we need to separate grains from the husk. So the process of separating grains from husk is called as winnowing. So how does a person do winnowing? The person will stand at some height, take a stool or a chair, stand at some height, and take the mixture of grains and husk, and he will allow this mixture to fall from a height. So what happens? The husk is lighter and is carried away by the wind and falls to somewhere else. But falls somewhere, as you can see in the picture, it is falling somewhere else. But the grains which are heavier, they have vertically fall down. So they form a separate heap. So this is how you can separate the grains from the husk. So this process is based on the principle that two substances or two components of a mixture are separated with the help of their density or with the help of their mass. So this is the answer to the question. What is winnowing? It is the method of separation of grains from the husk. Who uses winnowing and how? Farmer uses winnowing. They stand at a certain height, take a mixture of the heap which contains grain and husk. They allow it to fall from a distance. Grains being heavier fall vertically down, and the husk being lighter, they fall at a certain distance and get carried away by the wind. So this is all about threshing and winnowing. Threshing is separation of stalk from the grains. Winnowing is separation of grains from the husk. Next is sieving. So what is sieving? Sieving is a separation based upon size of a substance. The principle is based on the size of a substance. So whatever this in this picture you can see, the woman is using a sieve. So what is happening? Suppose you want to separate a ragi flour or a powdered ragi from all the dust or all the stones which is there in the ragi flour. So what do? You take a sieve, pour the ragi flour into it and you shake it. So all the ragi flour will fall down because it is very small in size. It will pass through the sieve and it will fall down. But the stones or any grains or anything which is present in the ragi flour, it is big in size when compared to the size of a sieve, so it will remain in the sieve. So that is how you separate the ragi flour and or the pebbles or any dust or grains which is present in the ragi flour. So this is the answer to what is sieving. What is sieving is, it is a method of separation used to separate two substances based upon their size. Where it is used only when the size of two components in the mixture are different from each other, right? So next is, what is the difference between winnowing and sieving? So if anybody asks you what is the difference between two process of separation, first you write the definition of what is that process. So first, what is winnowing? Winnowing is a process of separation of grains from the husk. What is sieving? It is a separation based upon size of a substance. Then you can write principle. Winnowing is based on the principle that two components are separated due to their mass, and sieving is based on principle that two substances are separated based upon their size. So this is the difference between winnowing and sieving. So the next is, how do you separate wheat flour from sugar? So first, understand what is wheat flour and sugar. Wheat flour is a powdered substance. Sugar is a solid substance. So you can either separate it by sieving or you can also separate it by winnowing. So either of the things will hold good. Next is sedimentation and decantation. What is sedimentation and decantation? Suppose you mix sand with water and you want to separate the mixture. How do you do it? You allow it to settle for some time. So what happens? Sand is insoluble in water. So it settles down at the bottom of the beaker or bottom of the a glass which you are taking, and water, it comes to the top. So what happens? This process of settling down of heavier insoluble particles like sand, it is called as a sedimentation. So next is decantation. So once the mixture gets settled down, you can transfer the clear water to another beaker. So this process of transferring clear liquid without disturbing the sediment, this process is called as a decantation. So if you want to increase, suppose, the process of sedimentation, how do you do it? You add a chemical. So this process of increasing the rate of sedimentation by adding a chemical, this is called as loading. For example, the chemical used for loading is alum. So this is a conceptual question. How can you separate two immiscible liquids?